In lesson 7.4, we're going to continue multiplying fractions, but by whole numbers today. So let's go ahead and warm up with a whiteboard or a sheet of paper. We're going to take 3/10, 5/10, and 11/6. And what we're going to do is we are going to represent the fractions as multiples of unit fractions. So let me do the first one as an example for you. 3/10 would be 3 times the unit fraction 1/10. So 3 times 1/10. Would you please on your whiteboard or sheet of paper do the same for 5/12 and 11/6? Remember in our previous lesson we learned how to represent a fraction as a product of a whole number and a unit fraction. Remember, product means to multiply. Go ahead and pause your video. So for 5/12, you should have 5 times the unit fraction 1/12. 11/6 would be 11 times 1/6. So my question to you is, 3/8 is the third multiple of what unit fraction? 1/8. All right, we're going to go ahead and move into our math journal right away. If you would go ahead and open to journal page 238. Page 238. On page 238, at the top it says the walking club. The Hillside Elementary School Walking Club meets every Monday after school. The table below shows how far some students walked at their last meeting. Number 1, Katie walks the same distance at every meeting. Find out how far she will walk after 2 meetings. So we're going to go ahead and look for Katie. Katie walks 2/3. So I'm going to go ahead and draw 2 rectangles to represent the 2 days. I'm going to go ahead and divide them into thirds since the denominator is thirds. So if I look, day 1, she goes ahead and walks 2/3 of a mile. And then day 2, here's 1/3 and 1/3, which is 2/3. So if I look at each one of this would represent 1 whole mile and 1/3 of another. I could have shaded it in too and said on day 1 she walked this much, and on day 2 she walked 1/3, 2/3. So after 2 days she would have walked 1 and 1/3 miles. So 1 whole mile plus 1/3 of the next mile. Let's go ahead and write that as a multiplication equation. In letter B, we would say 2 days times 2/3 each day times 2/3 equals, and we said that equaled 1 and 1/3. Another way to say that is I can multiply the whole number times the numerator and get 4/3. So if I go back to that picture from my previous screen, remember I divided each of these into thirds, and I shaded this for her first day and 1 and 2/3 for her next day. So you can see 4 out of the 3 equal parts are shaded. We could call that 4/3, but we don't often say I ran 4/3 of a mile. You would say 1 and 1/3 mile. So writing it as a mixed number is more how you would often say it to someone else. Between what 2 whole numbers does your answer lie? Well, it's more than 1 and less than 2. So it falls between 1 and 2 miles that she walked over the course of two days or 2 meetings. Number 2, Jack walks the same distance at every meeting. So let's find Jack. Find out how far he will walk after 4 meetings. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to draw a number line for this one. Would you go ahead on journal page 238? Would you also draw a number line? Now I'm going to go ahead and divide that into, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. Now, his denominator is 6th. If you can see that, 6th. So I'm going to divide this into 6 equal parts. So I'm going to call this 0 miles, 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, and 4 miles. So I'm going to divide it into 6 equal parts. 1, 2, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So even though I was counting 5 slash marks, look how many equal parts it is. It is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So let's go ahead and move him 5/6 of a mile for each time that he meets. And he does that 4 times. So he starts off here, and he's going to go ahead and move 5/6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he moves 5/6 the first meeting. And then I'm going to count from there, and I'm going to count 5 more equal spots or places. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Draw this on your math journal page with me. Then I'm going to count 5 more 6. 1, 6, 2, 6, 3, 6, 4, 6, 5, 6. So he makes it another 5/6 of a mile the third time, and he goes one more time. 1, 6, 2, 6, 3, 6, 4, 6, and 5, 6. Where does he end up at? He ends up at 3 2/6. I'm going to go ahead and write that as a multiplication problem for letter B. So he's going to walk 4 meetings, and at each meeting he walks 5/6 of a mile. Now, the answer is 3 2/6, but I'm going to show you another way to go ahead and multiply it. I'm going to take the whole number times the numerator. 4 times 5 is 20, and write that all over the denominator of 6. So if I were to count the equal spots, there would be 20 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's where the 20 comes from. The answer is 26, or as you can see, we just find out how many 6s are in 20. There's 3, which is 18, subtract, and I write my remainder as a fraction. So 26 is the same as 3 2/6. And between what 2 whole numbers does that lie? Well, it's more than 3 miles, but less than 4. Continuing on journal page 239, you can see I included the information at the top from the previous page. Number 3, Maria walks the same distance at every meeting. So let's find Maria. Find out how far she will walk after 7 meetings. Now this time, it's not asking us to draw a picture. It's just asking us to write a multiplication equation. So I'm going to take 7 meetings times 4/3, and I'm going to take the whole number times the numerator. Write that all over the denominator of 3. So 7 meetings at 4/3 each meeting. 7 times 4 is 28. 28/3. Now what we're going to do is over on the right hand side where you have a little bit of space, we're going to go ahead and figure out how many 3s there are in 28. 3 goes into 28 9 times. Multiply 9 times 3 is 27 with a remainder of 1. We're going to write the remainder as a fraction. The remainder goes on the top, the numerator. The denominator is the number that we divided by, 3. So the answer is 28/3, or 9 1/3 miles. Between what two whole numbers does your answer lie? Well, she walked more than 9 miles, but less than 10. So it's between 9 and 10. Number 4. If at every meeting they walk the distance shown in the table, who walks a greater distance? Mafara after 6 meetings or Nikhil after 4 meetings? Let's go ahead and look at Mafara, which is 9/10. So here, I'm just going to show my work. 6 times 9/10. Remember, we're going to go ahead and multiply the whole number times the numerator and write that all over 10. So 6 times 9 is 54/10. I'm going to write M for Mafara for this answer. Now, Nikhil, after 4 meetings, let's take that one. I'm going to move over to the left-hand side here. And let's take Nikhil, 1 1/4. What I'm going to do is take 4 meetings times 1 1/4. Another way to say 1 1/4 would be 5/4. So I'm going to go ahead and convert that to 5/4 because 1 is the same as 4/4. I'm just going to add those together. So I'm going to say this is 4 times 5/4. 4 times 5/4. And again, remember I had 1 1/4 there. Just change that whole number into a fraction equal to 1, and now it'll be easier to multiply. 4 times 5 is 20 24ths. That's for Nikhil with an N. Now, 4 goes into 25 times, so Nikhil is 5 miles. Now, let's see for Mafara, how many 10s are in 54? Well, there's 5, right? 10 goes into 54 5 times with a remainder of 4. So this is more than 5 miles. So who walked more? Mafara. How much more? Well, 4/10. If I change this back into a remainder as a fraction, 4 is my remainder. My divisor is 10. So 5 4/10. So 4/10 of a mile more. Show how you solve the problem? Well, I'll just show you all my work right here. We won't worry about number 5. You don't have to make up your own multiplication number story unless you'd like to. But let's finish up with number 6 and number 7. So again, we're going to take the whole number times the numerator. So 6 times 1, and write that all over the denominator of 2. So 6 times 1 is 6. 6. 6 times 1 is 6, and we keep the denominator at 2. I can also change that to a whole number or mixed number by just saying how many 2's are there in 6? 3. So 6/2 is the same as 3. And then number 7, we take the whole number times the numerator, write that all over our denominator. 9 times 3 is 27. We can keep that as an improper fraction, or we can say, how many 4's are there in 27? Well, there's 6. 6 times 4 is 24. And we write our remainder as a fraction. The remainder goes as the numerator, and our denominator is our divisor. So 27/4 is the same as 6 3/4.